I'd suggest we kept it off the table until we got the timeline for that North Scranton study and plan, if anyone else is in favor of that.
I'd be okay with that.
All right, so we're going to take a vote on to continue this?
Yeah, I'd like to keep it off the table. So if it's a motion to table this, I'll make that motion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
you have a motion and a second to take it from the table. You have to vote that motion first.
Yeah. So I'd suggest voting it down until we find out about the North Scranton study and plan.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so,
I think that we have to vote on the original motion.
Yes.
There's been a motion, there's been a second, and there was on the question, and the question was to possibly, table it, but
The question is to remove it from the table. That was the initial motion and the second.
So if
You
we
must
were-
vote that motion first.
So yeah, if we were to vote it down, it would keep it off the table.
Correct.
Correct.
I'm in favor of taking it from the table and voting on it for tonight. I feel like we received our answers from last week, so I'd like to move forward on it.
I mean, at this point, I've received answers. When it comes to administrative fees, the SRA is going to take that 10% administrative fee, which comes out to about $90,500. I was worried about that fee, so now I know who is getting it. As I've said in the past, there was that streetscape project in North Scranton. I know it was several $1 million. I know we're possibly looking for other ways to fund that. I see that this would be an improvement possibly to the area. I just like some more, now that I'm seeing that there's a plan in place for North Scranton, that there's going to be a study and plan, and that there's no, real rush to get this done as it's not due until September 30th, I'd like to get the timeline on that plan. But if we vote to take it off the table, then so be it.
okay, I am in favor of taking it from the table tonight, only because the questions I had asked had gotten answered, and that the streetscapes plan, there isn't enough money in the $975,000, or in that $900,000 to do a streetscape project. That's into millions of dollars, and it involves the state also. So I'd like to just move forward with this and let the SRA start doing improvements up there as soon as possible. Anyone else? All right, so this will be voting on taking this from the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
The ayes have it, and so moved. Dispense with minutes?
Third order, 3A, correspondence received from City Business Administration on June 5th, 2024, regarding updated payroll preparation tax collections as of May 28th, 2024. 3B, Single Tax Office City Funds Distributed Comparison Report for year-to-date June 6, 2024, and year-to-year comparison report for June 7, 2023 to June 6, 2024.
Are there any comments on any of the third order items?
So is it fair to say, is it fair to say that 2023 is down compared to 2022 by roughly close to $500,000? Over $500,000.
We're talking about the payroll prep tax?
Right. Is that what we're talking about right now?
So when it comes to these collections, they always seem to be low to begin with. As we're seeing the what's actually collected in the end, I don't know how these funds roll in. A lot of times these numbers seem to be in these areas. So 300, you're talking about the 391,900 in the first quarter?
No, I'm talking about the comparison between 2023 and 2022. If you look at the total,
Okay, the 840.
$2,289,555, and then I know they had budgeted $2.4 million, and then in 2023 they budgeted $2.4 million again, but they only collected $2,372,004.81. Just Next time we meet with Kathy, I'd like to try to get a better understanding as to what's happening with that. That's $500,000 less.
Yeah, so I mean, that is correct. So last year would have been 2.4, and they collected 2.8, so they overshot that budget estimate.
Right.
And then this year, yes, they are falling short, and that's supposed to have organic growth, so
Yeah,
it is a good question to
They
ask.
undershot it by 28,000, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, over the 2 years, it seems to balance out, but this year, as of 2023, they're under budget.
Yeah, they seem like they're behind. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anyone else? If not, received and filed. Do any council members have any announcements at this time?
I have a few announcements. First off, I just want to say that Saturday ended up being a great day for the Garbage Olympics, and I was really happy to be able to participate again, along with Kathy and Allison from our office. And I think we did a pretty good job in the Garbage Olympics, picking up garbage. We were over in West Side. It was also being done in Pine Brook. So really happy for that event and for the other cleanups that were going on that day. I want to mention that this coming weekend is Juneteenth, and that's going to be taking place on Saturday from 12 to 5 p.m. So that's hosted by the Black Scranton Project every year, and that's at 1902 North Main Avenue. And it's a really great event every year that they do outside, and there's always music, and I think they're bringing back the roller skating again this year too. Almost fell on my butt last time that I tried that, but it's a really fun event. And the City of Scranton is starting up again the movies in the park, and that was something that they did last year that I thought was really successful, and that's being done over at Naog Park, and they released days and the movies that they'll be playing, and that could be found on the park's website, also on the Facebook pages. So definitely a great opportunity to bring kids to go see the movies in the park. I know I'm going to go to a few. And wanted to wish all those a happy Father's Day this weekend. Lastly, I wanted to thank the SPD and the Scranton Fire Department as well for their work over the weekend in the Hills section. Pretty close by to where I live, there was a shooting and a domestic incident, and they were there all day long, and I really appreciate their work to keep everyone safe and to try their best to resolve that situation. Ended, unfortunately, but I know that they really worked hard, and I believe they asked for the public to try to stay as far away as they could, but I know when I drove by, just driving home, that there are a lot of people out trying to witness what was going on. So I just ask that if there is something like that happening in your neighborhood, that the public try to listen to the police and stay away for their own safety. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would also like to thank the Scranton Fire Department for continuing their replacement of smoke alarms and CO2 alarms. They did Prospect Avenue on Saturday from the beginning to the end. They basically come knock on your door, ask you if you have smoke alarms or CO2 alarms. If you don't have them, they provide them free of charge, and they also install them. So if anyone is in need of these, you can call 348-4164, extension 1, and they will put you on the list to have them installed. This is all done free of charge, and it is for anyone elderly, or if you can't afford them. It is totally free. They have a concern that people are afraid to let them in to install these alarms because they think they're coming in to inspect your houses. That is not done. They actually cannot do that, go in your house and inspect it. So don't be afraid to let them in. A smoke alarm or a CO2 alarm, they do save lives. And the underground miners up at the Brooks Mine up at Naog Park, they are open all summer now from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Free tours. They take you in through the mine and explain a lot of what they did. They've totally rebuilt it. They've put an exit in on the one side, and they've done a great job up there. It is all free to the public, but they do accept donations, so if anybody would like to help them continue their job because they are building some of the old coal cars that were there. They'd like to rebuild them, and I guess they're in the process of that. That's all.
Fourth order, citizen participation.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you had more, Jerry. If I could just, I want to thank the Scranton Police Department as well, and the Scranton Fire Department for their handling of that situation. Very, very tentative situation up in the hill section, and unfortunately, it ended in a self-inflicted bullet wound. But they did a great job protecting all the neighbors and ensuring the health, safety, and welfare of everyone in our great city. So they always do a great job. It doesn't matter what the situation is. So I want to thank them. And once again, I do want to congratulate the graduates at Scranton High School on Friday night, this coming Friday night. I think West Scranton's at 5. I believe Scranton High School is at 7:30. So I wish all the graduates well in their future. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Fourth order, citizen participation.
First name on the list is Leslie Collins, but she was here earlier from Scranton tomorrow, so I don't believe she wants to speak again. Joan Odawanis?
First, I'd just like to comment, as Mr. Smurl said, the passing of Vincent Dutkevich. He was a Scranton firefighter from 1961 to 1993, retired at the rank of captain. So he was one of our heroes. I also want to thank everybody in the city who supported Swinging on Vine last Friday night, which is the library's major fundraiser. And also last week, those people who came and supported the book sale that we have every 3 months. The proceeds from the book sale go towards children's programming. And keep in mind, the library will be offering children's programs throughout the summer. Also about the library, you might have seen in the paper that the county awarded a $550,000 contract to KR Construction for the renovation of the Nancy K. Holmes Branch Library in Greenridge. If you don't know, that building dates back to 1891. It's 2 years older than the Albright. And the renovation will bring it up to make it ADA compatible, energy efficient, and a lot of things that needed to be done for a building that old. $550,000 is a lot of money, but people should know that no local taxpayers were killed in the awarding of the contract because the money came from a grant from the Department of Education and private fundraising, so there's no taxes involved. And hopefully the renovations will be completed by November. Friday, June 14th, is Flag Day. And I always admire people who like to display Old Glory. But I would like to remind people that there is a flag etiquette. A lot of people aren't aware of it. Now, unless you're a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout or you're in the military, if you have a flag that you fly outdoors and it is torn or dirty, and these flags get dirty very easily because, the air outside is not very clean, it needs to be retired, taken down and replaced with a new flag. If you take a flag down because it's torn, dirty, or otherwise, defaced, you do not throw it into the garbage. You call either the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the VFW, the American Legion, the DAV, or any other of those organizations. They will take it, and in an appropriate ceremony, usually on Flag Day, they will burn them. And that's the way they are properly disposed of. Not in the garbage. They do not go to the landfill. remember that the flag will be put on, it adorns the caskets of veterans and first responders, so it does not go into the garbage. That's actually a federal statute, by the way. Anybody can Google it and download it and read about it. The labor agreements, keeping track. The firefighters' agreement is now 433 days old. Police is 318, so we'll be waiting on them. If you could, in fifth order, if you have any update on the status of the Sorrenti Center vis-a-vis this project to buy CTC-owned land for an emergency operations center. What is the status of the Sorrenti Center? I know that there's ongoing litigation, but
I'll
yeah,
report
if you
on
could
the
give
fifth
that in fifth order, I'd appreciate that. And this 7D, the Chrysalis Research and Consulting work for the HUD 5-year consolidated plan. In the legislative backup, financial impact is blank. Are we to assume there's no cost to the city for this contract work? If you could also answer that, because it's up for final vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Norma Jeffries?
Norma Jeffries, a city resident. And tonight I'd like to start with the street signs. And after council last week, nothing was mentioned about the activity with the street signs and that there was work that was going to be started. And good old Facebook, you know, there was a posting that the street signs were starting to go up in West Side. And I thought, why do we have to go to Facebook to find out that the street signs are starting to go up? So I reposted it and to let everyone know. So I did ask some friends over in West Side if they've seen them. They had not. And so I was just wondering if anyone can tell us exactly what's going on with those street signs. Is it a part of the project? Where are they putting them? And what can we expect going forward? Also, it was good to hear Leslie Collins talk about the activity that's going on with Scranton tomorrow. And when she mentioned the prayer breakfast, which is going to be in October, you know, I just pray that that does go forward. I always went to them when they did have them. It's amazing how the pandemic just changed our lives, and a lot of the things that we had then, it's good to start seeing them come back. So I wish them success with that, and as soon as I see any information on it, I'll be sharing it with any of the folks that I know. Also, I spoke a few weeks ago about the coordination of the PP&L, not PP&L, that's electric, the gas company and the water company digging up our streets once that they are paved. Well, it started. On our posting, you know, our Facebook page for our community, someone posted, they did it, it lasted 96 hours, and they're digging on a new paved street. So, you know, I know that there was some discussion on it. When I first started coming to council, that was 6 years ago. So certainly something can be done. And I understand that water breaks under the ground, and I think we all understand that, and we like to turn on our faucets and have good, clean, running water. But there must be some kind of coordination that can be done. So that's enough of that. Now I turn into an advertisement podium here. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was our Scranton project, and thank you, Dr. Rothchild, for mentioning that. And the reason that I just think that everyone, given the opportunity, if they cannot go to the Black Scranton Project on Saturday, look up what it means. What does Juneteenth mean? What does it mean? Why are they having a celebration for June 16th? Look it up, Google it, and become more educated about it, about our history, about what it means when they want to celebrate. Because people come and ask me, you know, well, I can tell you what I know, but there's a lot more that you can learn about it. So come out on Saturday, learn about it, and bring your chair. I was talking with Glennis, there may not be enough chairs for everyone, so make sure you bring your chairs so that you can sit and listen to the music. I won't be roller skating, Dr. Rothchild, but, you just enjoy the activity, and it's good to see the kids out and how they interact with each other. It's just so enlightening, so come out to that on Saturday. And then also my other thing that I'm working with is the flower show. The flower show is going to be, of course, on June the 29th at Nayouk Park, but it's so much activity going on with it, and it's grown so much in the years that I've been involved with it. I think this is the 4th year. And this year, the Everhart Museum is going to be involved with us. They partnered with us, and they will be having free admission to the museum. There's face painting for the children, and there's also, they're going to have music as well, and we're going to have music, and over in the park by where the zoo used to be, any of us who grew up in Scranton know where the zoo used to be, there's going to be storytelling time, and we've gotten a huge chair for someone to sit in and tell stories to the kids. They're going to read books to the children, and also the Scranton Public Library has been very gracious and have given us books that each child that comes will receive a book, and we have little Nayouk pens. You see my little Nayouk shirt on tonight? But we have little Nayouk pens that each one of the children that come to the event will receive that pen. So I'm just hoping that, that people will put this on your calendar. Just for this weekend is Juneteenth, and then I keep getting this date mixed up, but the last Saturday of June is the Electric City Flower Show. When I first came to Scranton, I'm almost out of time, people would say there's nothing to do. There's plenty to do in Scranton. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Norma. Bob Bolus?
Bob Wallace, Scranton. First off, I was glad to hear that we had something good to say about Sheriff John Szymanski. He was one hell of a sheriff, but he was one hell of a citizen of the city, and he was a great friend. And we need more people like him in this community. Bringing on, I also have trailer loads of disinfectant wipes still available for people that we've donated out. We had the trailer at Weston Field. I'd probably take it out of there after a while because they just stopped taking stuff off it. But moving on a little more, I just came back. I've been out of the area for the last couple months dealing with a torn Achilles tendon. And right now I'm going through treatment here at Lehigh Valley. And Jessica's very familiar. She's one of their associates, and they've had nothing bad to say, let me put it that way, but good things to say about the physical therapists that are employed there. What I don't like, and I'm not making this personal to anyone, but you see our flags that are flying here. I've traveled all over the world. What was the feeling that everyone got here on the 80th anniversary and saw all those white crosses sitting there, knowing those young guys never got a chance to come back here? Well, we're here tonight in this city and this country, able to speak freely. We're not getting shot. We're not having our heads cut off like Hamas and the rest of them are doing. And I donated the flags. And it really ticks me off that the Israeli flag and the Ukraine flag is not flying here. I paid for them and I donated them. I also donated them to the government building and the county. I think it's a slap in the face to say that we're supporting all these scumbags that are out there protesting, defacing our statues and everything else. Now, the 80th anniversary passed. I didn't see a flag outside. I didn't see any flag that said, thank you guys for dying. Thank you those that came home maimed and otherwise with PTSD and everything else. I didn't see any of that, either here, the government building, or anywhere else, to honor those veterans, those Americans. And I'm an American, I'm a Republican, and I'm a patriot. This is my country, and it insults the living hell out of me to see a flag flying out there that's under the queer organization, that's given respect instead of giving respect to those that died, that gave us this right to be here. And Jessica, don't take it personal. I could care less what people do in their own personal lives. This is about here. In Florida, they got rid of the rainbows on the bridges now. Now they're red, white, and blue lights. We're taking our country back from everybody that's trying to take it from us. All these radicals that are standing out in the street going, oh, we're Palestine, Hamas, though. If you're Hamas, you're a murderer, a raper, a butcher, etc. That's the difference. We're trying to bring the country back. I like to see right now, look at our city. How many shootings have we had? Gerald, you remember we could leave our doors open, our cars unlocked in this city. We can't do it anymore. And why is it that way? Thank you, Joe Biden, bringing all your illegals. They have no jobs, nowhere to live, no place to go. So what do they got to do? Steal, rob, beat up people, shoot people, get what they want. They got to eat. They're going to find a way to do it. This is what's happened to our country and our city. And in this city, we need to take it back. And in my final statement, I brought this up with Jessica more than once in the past. I have a brother that's a plastic surgeon. I have cousins that are MDs. I would respectfully ask you to identify behind your name what type of doctor you are. Your profession is one of the best in the world, and we all go there for treatment. And it's a profession you should be proud of and not feel that you shouldn't put it behind your name as a physical therapist. You are the people that make us healthy again and should be damn proud to do it. And I would respectfully request that you identify that you are a physical therapist. It's an honor to have that more than anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Ullman?
Good evening, Council. You know, this is a city that just seems to exist on consultants because we have such a poor administration. Now, a week or so, the paper, we got a consultant looking for a location to spend $600,000 or whatever. What's wrong with that property on Colfax? There's a beautiful building and there's big acreage there. Secondly, this, I went through some garbage to get. This is the third time the same spot, piles of garbage been piled up down at the river where the fishermen park, and I got a picture of it. This idiot left a bunch of stuff with his name on it this time. This is what destroys our city, our neighborhoods, is allowing people to get away with this and making taxpayers like you and me have to go and clean it up. Last month, I don't know who did it, but somebody cleaned up the other 2 loads that were down at the river. It's a city property where they were. Let me just give this to you. This really teed me off. His neighbors all over that. That wasn't in the garbage. That's just some cardboard boxes. Give me 1 second, I'll show you a picture, because I don't bother. That's the 3rd time they've done that.
Where was it at, Ron?
Make an example out of this Steve Scott.
What was the location? Where was it at?
If you go down North Main to the 2700 block where the DuPaul apartments are,
Yes.
you take that little road right down to the railroad tracks.
Okay.
And you can park there, you step right over the railroad tracks, that's where this pile is.
Okay.
And the other two piles were just to the left of it.
Okay.
And like I said, last month, somebody cleaned it up.
The barrels that were down there?
Cleaned it up, but I complained that they were.
Can you go back to the microphone so everybody can hear you, Ron? Thank you.
There was like 55-gallon plastic drums there, right? The last time you came in, that's been cleaned up?
Real quick, 3 or 4 houses up from me is a condemned house. Every Monday night, this white car comes and dumps 4, 5, 6 just bags of garbage there. I don't know who they are, but the car doesn't have but one sticker on the window, so I take it they're from out of the city where you have to buy stickers or something. Anyway, if Olaski considered my case of water on a lawn chair rubbish, this got to be worse. Steve's cycle ought to be made to clean it up and made an example of. Besides that, this is right where the fishermen park. There was 2 cars there today, but I don't know what, I didn't see them. You know, it used to be nice right there till they started dumping. My son's in the hospital, so I gotta go right now. I don't know what you're gonna talk about afterwards, but I wish you would consider making an example out of him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. And Tom knows where this is at, so he will give Mr. Voldenberg the location, and then we'll send, hopefully, someone down to actually
Yes, sir.
document it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Virgil Argenta?
Virgil Argenta, Scranton. Storm drains within the city. Can you produce which ones belong to the city of Scranton and which ones belong to the Pennsylvania American Water Company? And if you could provide information, which departments will be addressing their storm drain repairs? And if you can, please provide a list of storm drains owned by American Water Company and which ones are owned by the city of Scranton. The city ordinances provide for dumpsters on the streets. Is there any regulations for pod storage containers on the city streets, and who enforces that? We have number 1A91 in front of 617 North Sumner Avenue for the last 5 years. It's taken residents' parking spots, and it's making it very difficult in the winter months for the city snowplow. And that's pods. I have an 800 number for that too if you want it at the end. And do we have the final number of applicants that took the Scranton Police Patrolman exam? I believe the test has closed last week. And can you provide a percentage of passed and failed candidates? Will there be any update on the lawsuit regarding the Scranton Police Department promotional exam? And was the insurance carrier put on notice of a potential claim? As we know, another tragic event in our city. Will the cost for that tragic event on Saturday in the Hill section be made available? And is there any course of action to recoup for the city services? And I know we need to protect, but we were there all day and there was a lot of equipment and some equipment was fired upon. Can we recoup any damages or any kind of funds for that service? Are we making any headway with the investigation of the legitimacy, let's try that again, legitimacy of the 501(c)(3)s, nonprofits in the city of Scranton? Is there any way the city of Scranton can assign their own field investigators from within the number of employees we have working in the city? And would it be fair to say all boards and meetings take minutes of their meetings, like we do here at council? Should all city boards, especially the zoning board, have the meeting minutes on the city website? The zoning board hasn't had minutes of the meetings for years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't someone get paid to make sure the minutes of the meetings are on city websites? Christmas decorations from NAOG. Do you know where they're stored at? Do you know how much the city is paying for the storage? We do. Saturday, I attended a flag retirement service at the Marine Detachment Center. There was one elected official there. It was a Republican county commissioner. Since last Tuesday night's council meeting, we've had many incidents concerning unruly juveniles. Are we prepared yet? One incident, the taser was used. 2 incidents, 14-year-old girls were passed out in front of the Turkey Hill. Over 40 individuals running rampant in the neighborhood. The police were deployed. There was about 20 cops there. Could the cops be doing something better late at night like that instead of corralling the children? But we don't need a curfew. We're good with that. The welcome sign coming into the city, the North Scranton Expressway, at the 7th Street exit, the grass is just about as high as the sign. Have a nice night, Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Les Spindler?
Good evening, Council. Les Spindler, city resident, homeowner. Couldn't help but notice on the way in today the pride flag flying on flagpole. We fly all kinds of flags on the flagpole: pride flag, veterans flag, Italian flag, Irish flag, whatever. Israeli flag? No, the mayor won't fly it. When I asked her, she said, oh, it might offend some people. Well, you know what? It's offending more Jewish people not flying it. And the mayor cares more about a few people who might be offended by the Israeli flag than all the Jewish people in this city. And I will be sure to attend the Jewish Food Festival, which I do anyway, and tell every single person at that festival that we have an anti-Semitic mayor. She doesn't give a darn about the Jewish people in the city. All she cares about is a couple that it might offend because the Israeli flag is there. And Bob Bolus donated that, and she refuses to fly it. And I think she's discriminating against all the Jews in this city, the state, and the whole country. It's a terrible thing to have an anti-Semitic mayor. Next thing. The hole on Dorothy Street I spoke to about 2 weeks ago, it's still not filled in. I said, I'm no engineer. Well, I said, it's not the pavement coming out. The road is settling. What I think has to be done is that should be dug up again and filled in and leave enough stuff in there for it to settle. But what do I know? The weeds on Dorothy Street I spoke about finally got mowed last week, except for a small area about 2 feet by 3 feet. And I saw the guy when he was mowing. He was done, and because I was walking my dog, I walked through the ball fields, and I told him they forgot to do one little area. And he said he didn't know why. So yesterday I went by again, and I walked down. It's just a tiny hill at the bottom. It looked like an old Christmas tree that was thrown there years ago. And with all the weeds overgrown on it, you couldn't pull it up. But today I went back again and I pulled it up myself and put it out on the curb, so maybe the garbage men will take it. And now they could mow the whole thing. Lastly, 2 weeks ago also I spoke about that traffic light on Main Avenue that it turns black for a while. The next day there was somebody there taking care of it, but there's still something wrong. I don't know why, but when you're going towards that light, it's still black. You have to get almost on top of it to see what color it is. And there's, Excuse me, do you mean the middle one? The middle light, correct?
it's the last light going towards North Scranton.
I've seen the first one, but not,
Because
The middle
all the
one, but
other
not
ones
the
are
right.
fine. Going each direction, the other one's fine. Those ones I'm talking about seem to have like some kind of filter or something over it. And you can't tell what color it is till you're almost right on top of it.
no, I saw it too, but I only saw the
So
middle.
what the guy did, I don't know, but like I said, those lights are totally different than all the rest right in that area. All the other ones you could see right from a half a block away. So like I said, there's something there. That I don't know why those lights are different than all the other ones, but I don't know. That's all I have tonight. Thank you. Les, you said the batting cages Is that where the overgrown grass still is, or did they cut that?
Well, no, that was done, like I said, and
So
I
they
pulled that-
missed a different area
I
now?
pulled that tree out, so now they can do that little area.
Okay,
Next
so
time
they did
mow
take
it.
care of that one?
Yeah, it should be okay next time they mow it now. Now I know why they didn't do that little area. Somebody threw an old Christmas tree there,
Okay.
and all the weeds just grew over it.
All right, the rest of your
Thank you.
questions, that was all sent to DPW for the sunken pothole and the other thing that you did.
Thank you.
That was sent in. That's all for our sign-in sheet. Anyone else wish to address council?
Tom Coyne, Manuka. I didn't want to interrupt your conversation up
No,
there.
we want to make sure that's taken care of all the time because it gets overgrown. I'm
Mr.
sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Smurl, on the legislation last week for amending the funds to St. James Manor, you stated you did not receive it until 3 p.m. on that Tuesday. And that's in page 64 of the meeting minutes from last week. And you had no chance to review the backup of any of it. The administration city clerk noted it was received on May 28th of 2024. So it seems they got this change request put through 1 week prior to sending it to you. So it never could have met the timeline. So it seems that the city administration actually didn't sit on it. It was a very late change request on the part of CSS. So CSS didn't do their paperwork and waited until the last moment beyond when this body could actually do it. So that people requesting the fund actually put in the request from the time date stamp after this body could have actually lawfully produced it. So I don't know why suddenly we vote for rapid fire putting through legislation and funding when it was not the city's issue, when it was actually the people asking for the funding itself. As you pushed it forward, I understand that you can, but it flaunts the intent of the sunshine rule of not allowing this unless the action is de minimis. And 94,816 is not de minimis. I can understand how you did the meeting and it required, but I don't understand if you got it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, how the actual notes got up onto the minutes beforehand to comply with the 24-hour window that's required for the Sunshine Act for advertising any meetings. I don't know if it was added or Mr. Voldenberg had it beforehand, a day beforehand, but according to you, it didn't exist until in the council until roughly 3 hours before the session. If that's true, it couldn't have met the requirements for the Sunshine Act because you couldn't advertise something and put it on the minutes that you never actually had. Again, on 7C, I'll ask, how did the bid that the city put out on April 12th of 2024 seemingly offer to bid the winner on September of 2023? It seems there was communication and a potential agreement prior to the bid ever being produced. Again, April 17th, 2024, communication to Jessica Esker confirms this information. I quote, "It was a pleasure meeting with you, Kathy Welcher, and Daniel Penatar, Esquire, via Teams meeting in September 2023. I will be pleased to represent the Scranton Single Tax Office in litigation on a contract basis for the collection of delinquent taxes." So 6 to 7 months before the bid was ever released, there was already communication, including As previously proposed, your office will be billed a reduced rate of $225 an hour plus expenses. The bid document states that pre-proposal conference will not be held multiple times. So how did they get a special pre-proposal conference in September and an actual offer for the position that was never actually published? How open and valid is a bid process when the final winner was pre-selected 6 months before the position was ever bid out? And that included prepping and planning of the winner to bid at a specific acceptable rate. Should those who bid and were turned down be able to sue for expenses, as the whole process was settled even before they bore the expense of actually putting into the bid, because the bid was already chosen before it was ever put up before the public? And it's in the documents, all the dates. Look at the backup, it's there. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Marie Schumacher. I hope I can talk for a while, not too long though. I am very anxious to hear what you're going to have to say about the Sorrento tonight, and I hope it includes the number 15 fire. I'd like to know, has that gone on the market? I haven't seen anything in the paper. And are we or aren't we? If we are, why isn't it being done?
I'm sorry to say I don't have a lot to report. I asked for them an update from both, or the differentiation between the CTC project and the Sorrento Center. The only answer I got back is, we will schedule this with the city clerk. So they're going to come in, hopefully, before we go on August break.
That would be nice. Yes, now, on this building, how long is this building going to be in the cage that it is now? Do we have a finished time for the whatever's being done on the outside?
This City Hall? Approximately a little over a year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And then it appears that the pave cutting has not been, do we have a pave cut person now, again, on the payroll?
I'm not sure if we have a pave cut inspector. There is a position. I don't know if it's filled.
It seems as the last update we got was that the city engineer was doing the pave cut inspections.
Really? What are they going to charge?
We did ask that. Did we get a price on what they're doing it free of charge at this point in time?
That's correct.
Okay, because I was going to suggest that you bring back the prior pave cut person and hire her for a short time to train somebody.
This person is has gotten injured, so we can't put somebody in that place. Okay,
Well,
we can't fire them. They were just injured, so.
Well, I mean,
they
to
can
help
still come back.
to help the person that's doing it, or supposed to be doing it now. And could we get, for a while, could we get some statistics on how many are done in a week? So we know that things are really being done, and how much how much people have paid to get those pave cuts. So that would be nice. And then I guess the capital budget, that comes out in August, as I recall. So maybe some of these things will be in that. And will the Meadowbrook, again, is that on schedule? Tom, do you know if all the rights of way have been signed?
I know it's ongoing. I don't believe there is an actual schedule.
Oh.
But it's ongoing.
It's on hold, you say?
It's ongoing. It is continuing.
Oh. Okay, well, are all of the rights of way completed?
I don't
To do
believe
that.
everyone is completed.
Okay. Well, maybe you could provide the number of them
I believe
next
Attorney
week.
Boyd Hughes is working
Okay.
on tying up the last several rights of way. Not quite done yet, but he's working on it.
Oh, okay. And I agree with you about the lookout, but also that could be, the trees in front of that could be trimmed back down once they get around to it. I know they're doing the DPW is doing the sides now, which is very nice to have also, but I thank them for that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Council. Dave Dotson, resident taxpayer. Week or two ago, maybe last week, it was the lady from Griffin Pond came in, and we should check up with the people from Street Cats and make sure that we're not getting new bunch started. They were all over at one time in my neighborhood. I went through 15 of them. Paid money out of my own pocket and neutered them. Okay. And I heard last week about televisions out in somebody's yard. Well, you know, it'd be nice if they at least had the opportunity on an annual basis to take these televisions down and pay to have them removed or recycled, whatever you want to call it. They're a terrible problem when you get these old TVs and they blow out and they weigh a ton, and you just have nowhere to put them. You're stuck tripping over them or carrying them up to the attic, and they never get taken care of. The one guy had a couple of elderlies passed away, and he had like 6 or 8 televisions up in the attic that had blown out over the years, and there was nowhere, nothing could be done with them. And I'm still tracking the gas bills. But I strongly suspect that his good-naturedness of having us pay the delivery fee or whatever is just a ploy, and he's going to go for a raise, or they're going to go for a raise sometime in the fall, and the mathematics will add up to a 30% hike or 25% hike, which is outrageous, seeing as we live right in the middle of gas land. Pave cuts. Once again, they should be inspected at the end of the season, at the end of the summer season, and everybody should have to register when they're doing one, and they should be inspected after that, and then they should be inspected several months later, because I think what's happening is a lot of the tar that they lay down to seal the edge is just sinking down in. It melts and sags down in the crack, and then you have a groove in the street for lots of water to get in, and it's not good for us. We get stuck with the potholes. Once again, the AI was in the paper again, and it's a problem in Europe also. And I'm going to bring this up again. raising the alarm on pregnancy care, emergency rooms, refusing to treat pregnant women after Roe v. Wade overturned. They're worried about zealot DAs. Now, this is primarily down south, but there's plenty of organizations pushing it in Pennsylvania and everywhere else. 26,000 rape pregnancies in Texas since Roe v. Wade was overturned. 65,000 throughout the South. Miscarriages, they're told to go sit in a hot car to mimic sepsis. And torn clothes, facial bruises, lacerations verified that they were molested. No morning after pill in Iowa. I mean, aren't we? I mean, we're so faithful. And it just goes on and on and on. And then once again, we got the Moms for Liberty in Philadelphia trying to remove the books off the shelves. Don't bother. I read them at home. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good evening, Council. Mike Mancini, Scranton. Tonight I'm going to talk about my opinion of the state of the city and our current mayor. We've talked about several things, and one of the big things here is basic infrastructure, like our roads. You know, you see the state, you see the county. Every time they do a pave cut, it's serviced properly. It's tarred, it's sealed. They don't have to go back over it. Every time there's a tear in the road or a cut in the road where they seal them together, usually in the middle, you see tar. You don't see that on the city streets. What you see is us filling them in at the expense of PA American Water and UGI. They rip our roads up. We have these ordinances. Nobody seems to enforce them. The mayor could care less. She's not even from here. I don't think she grew up wanting to be the mayor of Scranton. It's evident. She works her job 10:30 to the last photo op. Shameful. It's disrespectful. It's unbecoming of that chair and those who sat in them before her. Shameful that you have to find a swerve pattern on the roads that you travel on a daily basis. The ones you don't travel, you have to watch the cars in front of you just to get out of the way of the potholes, the manhole covers. I've never seen these streets in the condition that they're in. The other evening, there was a party in West Scranton near Turkey Hill. A couple 14-year-olds were passed out. I caused a call to a residence just down the street. Several police officers were notified. They arrived on scene. Turkey Hill had to allow only 2 people in at a time. Now, we talk about a curfew. 1995, Conference of Mayors. 1,000 cities, over 30,000 people were surveyed. 387 replied. 270 of those, 70% in 1995, had a curfew. I heard kids underage walking the streets until 1:15 in the morning. And you mean to tell me we don't need a curfew? Is it that mediocre is just normal around here, or is it something that you just refuse to get to? You know, our kids are our future. It's one thing to fill our pools in with dirt and prevent kids from having a good future. The more things we take away, the more they want to do other things. You know, to put a 14-year-old girl into a precarious position just because this body doesn't want to do their job effectively. You want to compare us to Newark, New Jersey? I'm sorry. The last mayor used somebody from Newark, New Jersey. That doesn't work. Let's talk about the last mayor for a second. You know, our corrupt mayor, once he gets out, he's not going to have a driver's license. Somebody's going to have to drive him back into the city. And trust me, when he gets here, he's going to say, oh, I think I messed up. Well, this is what you get when you get people from out of town with a massive mailing list trying to become mayor once again. I'll tell you what, I'm sick of it. I don't see parties. I see people. People are not partying. I'm an independent for a good reason. Everywhere I go, doesn't matter where I go, you see the same thing. You know, the hope is lost. It doesn't have to be that way. This isn't the Scranton that I remember. This is what it's become because of arrogance downstairs. Taking a job just to hope for something else. We could do better. We will do better. And I take this a little bit personally. You know, she was questioned a few weeks ago about gang activity and unlawful debts. And she compared it to other cities. Well, we're doing better than other cities. 5 in 5 months is too many. 1 is too many. As a parent who lost a child, I could tell you firsthand, it's not a good thing. And to have somebody representing us like this, it's just shameful. We could do better, and we will do better. She's in the pockets of PA American Water just because she doesn't want to make a call and fix her roads. You know, there's 1.9% increase in the water mitigation for the sewer authority, and none of you want to look into it. Threshold's a lot higher than that, but hey, it's up to you guys. Want to be in the part of the city and represent the people, or do you want to just represent yourself and do nothing? The rest is up to you. The railway system's coming through. Our future's in your hands. Good evening, Council.
Thank you. Anyone else? I don't see anyone else, Mr. Voldenberg.
Fifth order, 5A motions.
Mr. King, do you have any motions or comments?
Just a few comments. If we could ask DPW to take a look at that welcome sign. I think Mr. Argenta said Center Street. North Main, yeah, if we could get that checked out. I mean,
I will, sir.
the sign coming into our city should look presentable. It speaks volumes about our entire city, so that's important. Jessica Rothchild is Dr. Jessica Rothchild, period. There's Dr. Erin Keating. She's the superintendent of Scranton Schools. There's Dr. Jessica Rothchild. She's a physical therapist. There's doctors of pharmacy. There's doctors of, I think we should just put that to rest, as far as that's concerned. On East Mountain Road, there was something on the East Mountain Facebook about Pennsylvania American Water had torn up a sidewalk. I think they were fixing a fire hydrant, and the repair back was blacktop. So I looked into it, and I had actually Mr. Voldenberg looked into it, and we found out that that's temporary. They have 4 to 6 weeks to come back and repair it back to its original condition. So I let that individual know that. I'm happy to see that the stormwater, the East Mountain stormwater construction is going to begin in the fall of 2024. And that Riley Associates is apparently going to be looking into that ponding issue that was up by Mountain Lake where the West Nile was discovered, so by Jimmy Wintermantle's house. So I appreciate that he's going to be addressing that. Also under 7C, that Chrysalis contract, I found out it's $38,500. That's the cost of that. And also, oh, excuse me, under 7C, that wasn't the Chrysalis one, that was the, I think it was the last 7D. But under 7C, it's my understanding, first of all, that that's a service when you're looking for an attorney. They did put it out, and Esquire, or attorney Kathleen Thomas was the only bidder. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. King. Mr. Schuster, do you have any motions or comments?
Yes, I have a few comments. Mr. King did get that piece back on the East Mountain stormwater. I'd also like to see if we could get Mr. Voldenberg an update on the West Mountain stormwater project, what the timeline would be on that.
I will, sir.
And when they plan on starting work, as that study was completed the year prior. A few things. Currently, we have two directors that are out. We have our DPW director that's out and our OECD director that's out. These positions need to be filled. On March 29th, according to the newspaper, we have an acting director for DPW. Has that ever been confirmed by council officially that we have an acting DPW director?
Not as yet, sir.
All right. According to the city code, we have 35 days to have an acting director. Can we reach out to the administration to see, is this director remaining active? What's there to be done to fill the position? At this point in time, we're 74 days in, so we're in violation of that city code of 35 days. So I'd like to see where we're going with that and what our plans are for OECD. And while we're at OCD, can we find out who is in charge at OECD while OECD while we do not have anyone in the position?
I'll ask those questions, sir.
Thank you very much. Last week or the week before, we asked about a town hall meeting to discuss with the neighbors that are to be affected by the Meadowbrook project, and we haven't had an answer back, but if we could follow up with them to see if a town hall meeting with the engineers and the administration, possibly even the group that's doing the rights of ways, could address those residents and their concerns.
I'll reach out and have that scheduled.
Thank you very much. Engine 15 was mentioned tonight. I know there was, it came out talk about selling the building. I think the last answer that we got was that the building was being used for storage and we weren't to be selling the building. So if we could just get clarification, are we selling the building? Has it been appraised, and what was the appraisal price?
I will, sir.
The flower show, Miss Norma, I'm sorry, I'll be out of town that day, so I won't be able to make it, but the last few years I was in attendance with my son, and we had a very good time. So anybody that's out there watching, it is a good day to be had by all, interactive for the children, and I would recommend going to the flower show at NAOG on the last Saturday, whether it's the 28th or the 29th of the month of June. And that's all, Mr. Smurl.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Dr. Rothchild, do you have any motions or comments?
I do, thank you. First off, want to start off with the issues that are occurring on Myrtle Street, specifically on the 1400 block with the Pennsylvania American Water Project. I've received several complaints, ongoing complaints about the shoddy work that's being done there, and I know I've brought it up here before, but I was given a good synopsis of it from one of the residents on that street who explained that the project was supposedly done and completed with curb-to-curb paving as of May 30th. Then last week, a sinkhole formed, and they came back to repair that and didn't even repair that properly because they didn't seal the edges of the patch around that area. And then they are back again today to dig up the street because supposedly they didn't hook up one of the residences to the water main, to the new water main, and it's assumed that maybe the place wasn't being rented because they must have been without water for a month, and I guess no one had noticed if someone wasn't occupying the residence, but if someone had, that would be a very long time to wait to be without water. And they also dumped a load of stone at the curb. There's a lot of debris around the area, and one of the other neighbors had also contacted me to say that they had they drove one of the milling machines into the side of one of the trees in front of her house with, they've left broken branches, and let's see what else. They also left a piece of equipment parked on the street that took up 3 parking spots, and they came at midnight to remove it. That's a great time. And there's just so many complaints, and this is obviously not being done properly for this project. So I know that we've spoken before to Steve from American Water. Certainly, I want to reach out to him, but I also want to reach out to Riley and get them to visit the area and find out why they've had to come back twice already, and they're still performing shoddy work along the 1400 of Myrtle.
I'll involve Riley Associates also, Dr. Rothchild.
Thank you. And one of the emails we had, there were several other questions, some regarding the ordinance that the city has, and the 800 block of North Irving, which we previously received a complaint of, if American Water's been contacted because of the pothole and the poor restoration that occurred on that street. And I think mostly they just want to see that we enforce the ordinance that we have, and that there are consequences for utility companies performing shoddy work. And I also wanted to bring up another street. Doesn't have to do with the utility company, but it's a request for paving, and that is along the 500 block of Oakell Court, which is the alley behind Arthur Avenue. So I'd like to send that over to DPW so they can check out the street and see if it's appropriate to add to future paving lists.
I'll have them added to the list.
Thank you. And I believe a couple weeks ago, I had requested the meeting minutes for the Unsheltered Task Force committee that I had attended, but I don't think that we've received them
No, we haven't.
to date. So if we could put in another request for them, please.
I'll follow up.
Thank you. And one other thing that I have, last week I had brought up the weather normalization rate that some customers had been seeing appearing on their UGI bills. So there is, UGI does have like an information sheet on what the weather normalization adjustment charge is. And the POC had approved it apparently back in 2022, and as a pilot program for us lucky customers. And it said that the weather normalization adjustment will be applied under the following circumstances, and those are if temperatures are more than 3% colder than normal in a given month, then customers will receive a credit on their bill. If temperatures are more than 3% warmer than normal in a given month, customers will receive a surcharge on their bill. And then in months of normal weather, bills will not have this adjustment. So apparently it's been something that's been around for a while, and depends on the weather patterns for normal versus abnormal weather expectations. And that's only between October 1st through May 31st of each year. So I'm happy to provide more information if needed, but that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rothchild. Mr. McAndrew, do you have any motions or comments?
Yeah, I got a couple. So first of all, I'd like to applaud and say how proud I am of the police and fire department and their valiant efforts maintaining safety and professionalism with last weekend's standoff. So kudos to you guys. I received responses to two questions I asked last week. One I touched upon during public comment, but with regards to the Sorrente project that's been ongoing and the new one that's proposed at the CTC, I requested that both entities come in, the police, the fire department, give us an update, tell us what's going on, what are they both going to be utilized, the differentiation between the two. So that is going to be scheduled with our city clerk, Mr. Voldenberg. So stay on top of that one, because I'd like to have that done before we go on break in August, okay? Mr. Voldenberg, please.
I will, sir.
And also, I requested Daniel Sefik, who's the new auditing firm, to come in and give us an update on the 2023 audit. We were also, the response I also received for that is we will work with CLA to determine an optimal time for an in-person appearance. So we'll see what happens with that. I too have a concern about the two department heads that haven't been filled. And I know we've encountered this in the past, and we've heard, oh, well, it's acting, but if it's interim, it's not acting. We've dealt with that before. Before we even hear that, it is what it is. The code states that you have 35 days to replace. So please get us an update on that. Pods, we talked about them in the past. I remember bringing them up once before. And there was a little confusion as the difference between that and, say, a dumpster. But I do believe in the code, well, first of all, if it's in your yard, you can have it longer than in front of your house. But the one you spoke of is there a couple of years, right? So that's crazy. So, and I know there might be some different language in the current zoning ordinance. So, Solicitor Gilbride, would you please take a look at that for us and then see where we're at with that and contact administration, and we'll get that address where the pod is located from you, and we'll definitely take action on that. That's ridiculous. You also had a good point about storm drains. Who owns which ones? I receive complaints all the time about storm drains that are being, and I usually have to reach out to DPW myself and to see who's responsible for which ones or who owns. So I think that's a great idea that we get that information and post it on the website, and so that saves people time from, they'll find out for themselves which one and call the appropriate entity that should be responsible for them. So let's please do that. Also, I have one property, it's a nuisance and blight issues at 8 Oakwood Place. I guess at night, there's terrible time in the evening until mid-morning. There's a lot of disruptive behavior at this house. There's quads driving all over the place, parked up against the house. There's garbage all over the place. There's a fence that's falling down. And there's a pool in the back, so that's a safety issue. Could you please alert code enforcement to this property?
I will.
And I believe that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Last week, we suspended the rules on legislation for St. James Manor project, and I had commented that the legislation was sent to us at 3 p.m. that day. As it turns out, that was incorrect, and I should not have said that because the information was not really accurate. So I apologize to our law department. It was not their fault. We didn't get it at 3 p.m. that day. And Mr. Voldenberg, these are the following ones. I have sent all of these over to you in an email. Storm drain at Olive and Colfax again. And the status, I know it's on the demolition list, but 421 Colfax Avenue, approximately, is it going to happen this year for demolition, or do we have an order, or is there a schedule?
It's in the demolition process, but I'll get a better
something
frame
we
on
get a better idea of
process.
how long. Also, the newly paved road around the greenhouse at Nag Park. They had dug out right between the greenhouse and the new road. There's about an 8-inch gap that's open there, and cars are parking there, so the blacktop is going to start to peel there. So if we can ask if the contractor could either backfill that or tar it and then backfill it, because it's going to destroy the road we just put in there. And it goes the entire length of that road where they had milled it out. So if they can take a look at that and hopefully repair it. I believe that was Pensy Supply that did that one. Also, 800 block of Richter Avenue, potholes coming up the hill need to be patched. And the rear of 516 Palm Street. This one I've sent in multiple times, and the same 2 neighbors are calling again. It is overgrown again. I don't even know if people live in there, but if code enforcement could let us know what's happening there, if it's abandoned or what we can do. We board it up, or it is a really a bad structure.
That's presently with the magistrate. I'll follow up.
It is at the magistrate? Yes. Okay. If we can find out what the next step is, or if no one's responding from the magistrate's office. Also, I'd like to send a request again to the Scranton Police Department, the Traffic Division, and ask about the city ordinance that I've supplied before, the ordinance for tractor-trailer parking in the city. I want to know, is there anything we could do or they need for us to change in section 439-32 all the way down 439-93? It describes the trucks as tractor trailers, combination, bus trailer, and what's not included in that is any city vehicle, fire apparatus, ambulances, or any commercial truck where there's construction, current construction going on. But these trucks, I don't know about everybody else's neighborhood, but if I drive 10 square blocks in my neighborhood on Sunday, I counted 8 tractors. They are about, well, I'm going to guess, 10 feet wide, so your average car is 6 or 7. So you've got to go out in the middle of the road to go around these things. They simply don't belong there. We have the ordinance for them. So, and we also have, I believe at one point they said there was no fine, but section 439-93, a fine is not more than $100 total cost. Each day the violation exists shall constitute a separate violation. So that's in there now. So if there's anything else we need to add to that so we can start to ticket these commercial trucks in our neighborhood. And I know I've been asking this for well over a year.
I'll follow up, sir.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I did say this, send this to you, but Engine 15 on Ash Street, I did send, or I did ask the mayor and Eileen Cipriani if it's at all possible to use that structure for animal control. I believe animal control right now is down at police headquarters, which there is no room. Reason I would like to see this is we have a building sitting vacant. They don't really have an office. They have vehicles, but you know they don't really have a home. And when we have what we had last week or the week before, you go in and you find 30 or 40 animals. There is nowhere to place them at that point. So I'm not looking to make it a permanent shelter. I'm looking to make it a temporary stop, put cages there, and naturally the building is open now, but use it as a staging area so that we have something for our animal control people to work out of and to store these animals. I really don't want to make it a shelter for animals. I just want it so that if the police pick up a dog at 2:30 in the morning, they are not driving out to Clark Summit to the animal shelter to place the animal out there. They would have somewhere in the city they'd be able to do that. The building right now belongs to us, so instead of selling it, maybe utilize it and take the animal control out of police headquarters. The bridge near McNichols School, the city had submitted an application, a grant application. We are still waiting for the decision on that grant application. So that's what's holding that project up. And it isn't only that bridge. There's a lot of other work in that area that's included in that area. And I also I got a request from the zoning board again, requesting a police officer at their zoning meetings. So I did ask the mayor this morning, and I believe she sent that on to everyone else. And last thing, we were asked last week about the former Penwood Manor building on Cedar Avenue. In the paper, in the newspaper, I saw a report. I don't remember exactly what, it was June 3rd, but the article was in Scranton Times Report. Congressman Matt Cartwright submitted a request to the House Appropriations Committee for $1.75 million, and it said it was to redo a building in South Scranton and make it into affordable housing for low-income, at-risk veterans. I believe that's the building they are speaking about. I don't know anything else that large in South Scranton that we'd be able to remodel with that much money. That's all I have, Mr.
Mr.
Brown.
Smurl,
Thank you.
we have
Yes.
2 quick ones. Mr. Voldenberg, on 723 River Street, had a neighbor express concern. I guess the front of the house looks all right because the neighbors take care of it, but the back of the house, there's like a pool. It's been abandoned, and the grass is up as high as the fence. So if we could ask the license and inspection to stop by there, that would be greatly appreciated.
I will, sir.
Also, you know, the pave cuts seem to be a big issue that have been discussed here this evening. You know, number one, I think it's important that we find out what we're doing as a city, as DPW, to ensure that the pave cuts are, I guess Riley Associates is inspecting them for us now. That's all well and fine, but we need a permanent solution to that. And actually, you know, the utilities, we need to make sure that they're filling in these pave cuts the proper way. So, and we'll maybe take a look at the ordinance for pave cuts and manhole covers, if we could do that. Maybe I can ask Solicitor Gilbride if you could maybe take a look at that for us, see exactly what the ordinance says in terms of pave cuts and manhole covers. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. We're good? Mr. Voldenberg?
5B, no business at this time. 6th order, no business at this time. 7th order, 7A, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, filed to Council number 19, 2024, amending the Scranton-Abington's Planning Association, SAPA, Intergovernmental Cooperation Implementation Agreement.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7A.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7A legally and lawfully adopted.
7B, for consideration by the Committee on Public Works for Adoption, filed to Council number 20, 2024, ratifying and approving an intergovernmental agreement of cooperation and memorandum of understanding between the City of Scranton and Borough of Dunmore regarding the coordination of stormwater mitigation and state compliance for Dunmore properties subject to the Meadowbrook project.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Public Works?
As recommendation for the Committee on Public Works, I recommend final passage of item 7B.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7B legally and lawfully adopted.
7C, for consideration by the Committee on Rules for Adoption, Resolution Number 54, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a contract with Kathleen M. Thomas, Esquire, to serve in the capacity of special counsel for delinquent business privilege and mercantile tax collection for the city of Scranton.
As chairperson for the Committee on Rules, I recommend final passage of item 7C.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, I had some concerns last week. I asked if there was going to be a cap when it came to this position, and I received an answer, and the answer I got was that there's going to be no cap on the hours for this position, that Assistant Solicitor Joe O'Brien will continue to handle the day-to-day representation at the STO, which he is the solicitor for the STO, and manage most of the delinquent business privilege and mercantile tax collection cases. Attorney Thomas will only supplement the work as needed. This is a year contract, and I'll pay close attention to those bills and probably be making requests for the billing on this position as the year goes on.
anyone else? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7C legally and lawfully adopted.
7D, for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 55, 2024, authorizing the mayor, Office of Economic and Community Development, and other appropriate city officials for the City of Scranton to engage with Chrysalis Research and Consulting, LLC, to provide consultant work and administrate our HUD 5-year consolidated plan within the City of Scranton.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7D.
Second.
On the question,
On the question, I found out that, as I mentioned earlier, it's $38,500 for this contract.
anyone else? Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7D legally and lawfully adopted.
7E, previously tabled, for consideration by the Committee on Community Development for Adoption, Resolution Number 49, 2024, authorizing the mayor and other appropriate city officials to execute and enter into a memorandum of understanding with Scranton Redevelopment Authority.
What is the recommendation of the chairperson for the Committee on Community Development?
As chairperson for the Committee on Community Development, I recommend final passage of item 7E.
Second.
On the question.
On the question, as I said earlier, I had questions about administrative costs. The administrative cost on the money that's being sent over to the SRA with this MOU is set at 10%. Some of the answers that we received was that the fee covers the necessary costs associated with managing and administrating the funds. The SRA is going to undertake a range of projects focused on infrastructure enhancement, community development, and economic revitalization. Much of the scope and the specifications of these projects will be developed after completion of a North Scranton study and plan. The approach ensures that it's going to meet aesthetic and functional goals aligning with community needs, and that they plan on sending detailed plans over to the City Council. As this is a large sum of money that will be going to North Scranton neighborhoods, I will be voting yes on this tonight. I wish that the council had slowed it down, as we don't really have a strict deadline that's near. It's going out to September, so I think we could have got a little bit more clarity on the projects, but it is money that's going to be going towards revitalization and development in North Scranton.
Thank you, Mr. Schuster. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to hold this up, but I'm not happy with the answers I got. And this happens a lot. I'll ask a question, and it's not the answer I'm looking for. I just don't get the answer. I get in a different form. So, and then they provide new information. So the North Scranton study plan, who's doing it? Is it the SRA? Is it the city? I don't know. They don't tell us. 10% for the administrative costs could be, you know, how it's done is either between 2 and 10. 10 seems like a lot. What is the 10 going to be utilized for? Is the 10% going to be utilized for the salary of the SRA director that we had up front in the beginning? I don't know. It's supposed to get reimbursed? I don't know. So, I'm going to take the last sentence to heart. Detailed plans and timelines will be provided to council. So that's where we'll have to do our due diligence to make sure that these projects are what was originally promised to the North Scranton residents. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. McAndrew. Anyone else?
Yeah, one more on the question. As there is only one employee of the SRA, I would imagine those administrative costs are going to be going to that employee. I mean, we got some background info that said housing opportunities. Then some of the information, as Mr. McAndrew says, some of that original documentation said housing opportunities in North Scranton. Kind of threw me off, because now the answer we're getting is infrastructure enhancement. I mean, I guess housing opportunities could fall under that somewhat. Community development, possibly. Economic revitalization, maybe. But I would have liked some more clarity on the plan, but like I said, it is a lot of money going into the North Scranton revitalization, so I will not hold that up.
So one more thing. So 10% is 90 grand, which is probably the salary. Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Schuster?
Yes.
Dr. Rothchild?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mr. Smurl?
Yes, I hereby declare item 7E legally and lawfully adopted.
Eighth Order 8A, Resolution Number 49, 2024.
This resolution was taken from the table and placed in seventh order for a final vote. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. They were CO2 labs, too.